All right, how's it going, everyone? This video is for anyone that is in the business coaching space, the wealth coaching space. If you teach people how to start a business, how to grow a business, how to invest, how to get a job, how to make more money in general, this is a really great video for you because this is something I saw back in June, so just a couple months ago, and it made me realize a lot of things that I was accidentally doing right in my marketing to make my life a lot easier, to actually attract people to have a message and have angles that were converting really, really well. I realized a lot of it had to do with this chart that is called the Current Economic Conditions Index. So I saw this tweet back in June, and he was talking about how consumer sentiment of the current economic conditions in June, when he posted this, is now well below even the COVID era lockdowns. So you can see here, COVID, this was the low point of COVID, and then this was the low point even now. And he says it's approaching the lowest levels of 2023. So basically, what this chart is, the key word here is consumer sentiment. What this chart is basically showing, and I have a bigger version of it here. What this chart is basically showing is what people's perception about the economy in America, I think, it might be the world in general, but just economy in general is. That generally speaking, when this is higher, people feel more positively about the economy. They think things that are going well. And when it's going down, they don't believe that it's going well. And this obviously has massive implications if you are marketing some sort of program, a course, coaching program, whatever, about how to make more money, how to grow a business, how to start a business, how to invest, etc. I realized so much of my marketing aligns with different parts of this chart because and maybe you've seen people talk about this, but the way that you sell business coaching, investing coaching, how to make more money of anything is very, very different depending on what people's perception about the world is. And I realized I was accidentally doing this a lot of times, and that there were a lot of times in this chart where I realized I was kind of like perfectly aligning my message with people's perception about the current economic conditions of the world. The first thing I'll say is number one, I have like zero knowledge about finance and investing. I'm sure this is kind of like basic knowledge to anyone that's like a trader or like invest in the stock market, but this actually blew my mind when I realized it in marketing. Essentially, the mindset you want to have is when people's perception about the economy is worse, the way that we want to position anything related to money, whether it's teaching people how to save money, how to invest, how to make more money, etc. Our goal is not helping people to get to their heaven island, as I'm sure people have said. I've heard people say. Our goal is not to help them achieve their wildest desire of retiring on a beach and having, a mega mansion and having all of their kids' houses paid for. That's not realistic. If we were at the lowest point of 2020, the COVID lockdowns, most people, including myself, probably believe that this is not a good time. This is not really opportunity given the state of the world that I'm going to be able to make a ton of money. I'm going to 10x my business, 10x my income, while everyone else is kind of like struggling. If you're selling to a consumer, unless you're selling to a very top level business owner, most people are going to align with this chart. Most people here in, I guess this would be like early 2020, that was when the lockdowns were happening. They were first starting, rather. A lot of people had the perception of, I just need to make sure that I'm safe. I just need to make sure that I don't have some sort of massive financial, breakdown. Basically, I don't go bankrupt, I don't go homeless, anything like that. So if you are marketing at a time like that, if you're marketing any time where the chart is on a downward slope, the goal is not make millions. The goal is not 10x your business. The goal is not whatever, get the Ferrari and the mega mansion. The goal is safety. The goal is consistency. The goal is reliability. And companies that do a really good job of this are a lot of like the precious metals investing companies like buy gold, buy silver. Those companies clean up during these parts of the chart when things are on a massive downward slope, because their whole pitch, their whole angle is, well, no matter what happens in the world, with all the markets crashing, gold and silver are physical. There's a limited quantity of them in the world. So these are rock solid investments that are going to protect you no matter what happens. And they're not going to give you 20%, 30%, 100% annual returns like maybe crypto can. but this is something that's safe, it's dependable, it's going to keep you and your loved ones protected. That's the pitch. That is the pitch. Any sort of wealth-based offer. Again, it doesn't matter if you're teaching people how to start a business, grow a business, invest in stocks, forex, whatever. The mindset is always the same, given the current economic sentiment of the world. Now, if things are on an upward trend, which obviously after the lockdowns became a little more relaxed, people started getting stimulus checks. There was signs that things were happening in 2020. Things started to generally improve. So if people see that generally improving, that it's not all doom and gloom, they don't have to be terrified. This is where we can sell more of kind of the desires. This is when you see people that are doing kind of like the typical Instagram influencer lifestyle flex. And you see people getting a little more ambitious with their goals rather than just trying to keep what they have safe, making sure that they don't see a loss in their income. Now they're actually thinking about increasing their income. That's a huge differentiation is on the downward slopes, people are not really that interested in increasing their earning potential. They're more concerned about protecting what they have, making sure that it doesn't go down. And if it does go down, it goes down a very tiny amount. Ideally, adding on something small. So this is where you see a lot of offers that are positioned as like a side hustle, a side income, a side business, just have a little bit of extra coming in on the side. Not going to help you quit your job. And honestly, you probably shouldn't quit your job. This is just going to be something that is going to protect you to make sure that your bills are covered and that you have enough to provide. That's kind of the general mindset when things are on the downward slope. When things are on the upward slope, that's when people are thinking about, God, I hate this job. I need to get out of this. Or the business owners that are like, I'm tired of being stuck at the 20K, the 50K, 100K a month mark. Now I actually want to make things pop. Again, this is generally the more true this is when you're more focused on selling to consumers. If you're selling to like elite business owners that are already like millionaires that already have made millions of dollars in business, this stuff isn't really going to apply as much. But even so, even a lot of kind of smaller businesses, people that make less than, I would say, like $1 million, $2 million a year, I've generally found that the marketing and the messages and the angles that resonate pretty closely align with this chart. So again, what I was saying before is when the chart is on an upward trend, that's when we can sell more of the ambition. You can finally quit your job. You can finally hit the $1 million mark in your business. You can finally retire early. That's when people start to get a little more ballsy, for lack of a better word. You can see right now, I mean, this chart, I think this is August 2024. I think I downloaded the right one. In recent memory, since the start of 2024, we have mostly been on a downward trend. We're on a downward trend right now, actually, which makes sense. All of the offers that I see right now are not really focused on like make $1 million, 10x your business, whatever, more on protection. It's like I was saying, have a little something extra coming in on the side, make sure that you and your loved ones are protected, things like that. Whereas for most of 2023 and since early 2022, the opposite. So this explains why a lot of people I talk to, a lot of their offers, a lot of their angles, a lot of their ads are not working nearly as well, is because they're trying to do things that do not align with current market conditions. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, there's also competition. There's also saturation. Those are all things that have to be factored in as well. But this chart, when I saw I like started looking at like the trend on certain, and I started looking at, past ads, past marketing promotions. A lot of these things started to line up. So if you just Google current economic conditions index, you can find this. It's updated, I think, every single month. So it's pretty interesting. And again, I'm sure there's some investing finance person who knows like a million times more than this who can smoke me in the comments, but it lines up basically with what I've seen, and it's going to inform a lot of what I do with marketing. Because like I said, the times I got this right, I was kind of just guessing. I have the philosophy is I'm going to test everything, the safety, the ambition, every angle on earth, and I'm just going to keep the ones that work. But now, hopefully, I can make my life a little easier. I don't need to be guessing, and I can usually use like real world data to inform certain things. So this has been very helpful for me. Wanted to share with all of you. Hopefully this makes sense.